Hello, everyone. My name is Joshua Stamus, and this is our project on the woman and the dragon. This story can be found in Revelation 12, verses 1 through 6. So, before we get into the importance of interpreting the text and everything leading up to it, this is what the text actually says. A great and wondrous sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head. She was pregnant and cried out in pain as she was about to give birth. Then another sign appeared in heaven, an enormous red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns on his heads. His tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to the earth. The dragon stood in front of the woman who was about to give birth, so that he might devour her child the moment it was born. She gave birth to a son, a male child who will rule all the nations with an iron scepter, and her child was snatched up to God and to his throne. The woman fled into the desert to a place prepared for her by God, where she might be taken care of for 1,260 days. So that is the actual text that we will be analyzing, and we will start with interpreting this by looking at the author and the audience. Revelation was written by a John. This is found in Revelation 1, verse 1, and scholars still debate as to exactly who John is. Possibly John the Apostle, but it is unlikely that it is the same John who wrote the Gospel John. This is because he doesn't refer to himself as an apostle or knowing Jesus personally. Scholars do agree that John was a Jewish Christian prophet who was exiled to the island of Patmos and wrote this letter to the 7 churches of Asia. Revelation contains prophetic and apocalyptic literature. So, in the larger picture, these are the words of God through John to his people. The 7 churches of Asia were churches that Paul visited in his missionary journeys. Geographically, they are located near each other on a circular path, and they were the original audience of John's letter, Revelations. Now, for the background, we're going to first look at the genre. And for a long time, many early church fathers and New Testament scholars approached the book of Revelation with futuristic viewpoints, which means that all of the events that have been recorded are interpreted in expectation of them happening in the future. However, further studies of genre, historical, contextual, and cultural background that scholars did show totally different view of Revelation as limitless truth. It is very important to study and dig deeper into the background of the book, especially for a book that is full of imagery and metaphoric sayings. Before we begin to interpret the book of Revelation, we need to ask, what kind of literature is Revelation? The book of Revelation is what we call apocalyptic literature, which came from the Greek word apocalypsis, or revelation. Coaster writes that there are 2 types of apocalyptic literature. One of them is mainly an account of heavenly journeys that tells how a seer ascends through celestial reigns in the company of an angelic guide to see things that are inaccessible to other human beings. The other type focuses on the movement of history that oftentimes include catastrophic upheavals. Then why is this genre so special and harder for us to interpret? When we first encounter the book of Revelation, it is very mysterious, with mysterious beasts and random numbers. In order to understand what they all mean, we need to understand the cultural background of the original audience. Culturally, apocalyptic literature was very common for the Israelites and people in the early church. They grew up hearing stories of Daniel's interpretation of visions, Ezra's vision, Isaiah's prophecies, and his imageries. They grew up hearing interpretation of these mystical stories. Because it is an ancient way of telling stories, it will be impossible to interpret the book of Revelation without understanding their culture. Lastly, 2 aspects we need to pay a great amount of attention are the historical and contextual background of the book. In other words, we need to understand who the original audience and setting were when the book was written. When the Bible was written, it was not written to us, but for us. Therefore, we need to understand the intention of the author for his audience and the situation for the original audiences we're in. What was the book written for, a group of people, on individuals? Is the author confronting or teaching the audience? Are the audiences celebrating, or are they being persecuted? Questions like these are very important for us to ask and answer when we interpret the Bible, and Revelations included. Then what does this specific chapter of the book of Revelation mean for the original audience, and what does it mean for us in present day? We'll start with the original audience. Throughout Revelation, we see a constant pattern of evil forces vanquished by the forces of good. This happens quite repetitively throughout Revelation, and although this is a very strengthening pattern and we can find good inspiration from it, it can lead a lot of interpreters to underestimate the forces of evil, which is represented by the red dragon here. So in Revelations 12, it talks about a red dragon. Now, what the original audience would get from this is earthly hardship. This is what it represents, and this was often embodied by political powers that were. So we can look back in time, and we could see that political forces have often been against God's people, such as Pharaoh or Assyria, or at that time, Rome and Caesar. So this is what they would equate with the evil forces or the red dragon. And the forces of good would constantly be God and his people, which would be Israel, the apostles, and the church at that time. Now there's a big difference between the earthly hardship that we go through and spiritual hardship. Earthly hardship would just be the physical pain and suffering that a lot of the Christians would go through due to the political powers that were at the time. And the spiritual hardship would be things like constant sin and distance from God. And it seems that this red dragon has power over both of these, and it's not an enemy to be underestimated. However, we can take heart in knowing that the forces of evil are always vanquished by the forces of good. Although they have power, it is still less than the power of God and his people. Now, in the end of the story, it says that the woman fled into the desert to a place prepared for her by God. Now, in modern interpretations, we often equate the desert with a time of trial or hardship or some tough time to go through. But rather, earlier interpretations show that the desert was a time of solitude and a time of just spending time with God. So the woman was taken to the desert not to go through this tougher trial, but rather to experience the comfort and peace prepared for her from God, and just to spend time with him. If the Israelites saw that while they wandered through the desert, it would be seen far less as a trial and far more as a blessed experience to share with their God and their ruler. So the application for the original audience is to take heart and stay strong, right? The story shows a curious parallel with the Israelites crossing the Red Sea. So if the woman represented the patriarchs and they gave birth to a great nation, and as soon as they leave Egypt and become their own nation, Pharaoh tries to swallow them up. Or the Red Sea might have swallowed them up as well. But rather God delivers them, and they spend time in the desert with their God and in solitude as well. So this shows that Pharaoh couldn't destroy God's people, and for the original audience, neither can Caesar. So when you face the evil forces, you can always lean back to God, and he will take care of you, and he will deliver you. So that is what the text meant for the original audience. Now, what does it mean for us today? With faithful interpretation and exegesis, we can appreciate the community of interpreters of Scripture around the world and through Christian history as a resource that can expand and deepen our understanding of God's living and active Word. We are aware of the social and cultural location of our interpretation of Scripture and acknowledge the impact on reading and understanding our text. As recommended by Stuart, we start by asking the questions of here and now. So, Revelation 12 is the theological key to the book, as Stuart says. First, studying the background for the original audience guides us in understanding the contemporary meaning of the text. Second, knowing the genre of the visions in relation to apocalypse, prophecy, and epistle storylines, we can interpret the message as the first readers would have understood them. Third, understanding the culture and history of the Old Testament connections give us a context in which we can view the vision of Revelation 12. Finally, Stuart also gives us advice on reading the text in the setting of suffering as a word of warning and comfort. As we have seen in the context, we can understand the setting of heaven and the genre of apocalyptic themes. We can understand the message in a contemporary way by first understanding how the original readers would have understood this letter. We know from the literary context that John was writing this letter to the 4 churches of Asia Minor as a word of warning and comfort. We can also understand the message in a way as readers today. In short, the message of this vision is similar to the way of that the original audience would have understood, with a background of the Old Testament prophecy. The vision of the woman indicates the signs which John sees in heaven portray events which have happened and will happen on the earth. She represents Israel, enveloped in the covenantal promise of the Israelites and the 12 nations. The vision also mentions several times that she is protected and sheltered by the sun and the moon, which are also allusions to Joseph's dream of the New Jerusalem. However, there is a warning of the dragon, who represents Satan and his attempts to destroy Israel. He sweeps the stars, or the protection, and devours the child being a symbol for Jesus, who will rule all nations, and her escape into the wilderness, a comfort to the church that the protection of God remains true. These themes remain relevant to us as readers of Revelation today. We can understand the promise of God in His covenant, His warning of the end of time, and the comfort of protection for His people. That is what the text means for us today. Comfort and protection during these times of strife. So it might seem like a very... So when we interpret this, it seems to have this very cryptic and mysterious meaning about it, but we can still use this today and take heart knowing that through these hardships, God is still with us and He will never abandon us. That's our project on Revelation. Thank you.